Welcome back to the Real Talk Corner podcast, where we dive deep into personal journeys and topics that can inspire and transform us on a mind, body, soul, and spirit level. I'm your host, Ariana Gutierrez. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for those of you who keep showing up, who find value in this podcast, and share it out, share it with your friends, and just keep coming back. I mean, thank you. So today I'm joined with a special guest, Deborah Camp, who has turned her past struggles into a powerful journey of triumph. Overcoming severe bullying throughout her childhood, she has emerged as an artist and an advocate. Join us as we explore her incredible story of resilience, creativity, and advocacy. Let's get started. The Real Talk Corner. We back. We in the building. As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, fighting my way through the darkness where the wicked don't rest. Conscious aware, truth I dare, shields tied to my chest. My tenacity can put these motherfuckers to the test. High priestess of fire, alchemistic desire. I say manifest and shit, even when I am tired. You can call me amazing, by the bricks I be laying, but you'll never call me lazy, cause my vibes are devastating. In the league of my own, spitting real time energy. I know a little something about a thing called synergy. This is so ready to throw a sun and masses awaken me. Listen up, cause we about to set your mind, body, and soul free. All right, let's jump into it with my special guest today, Deborah Camp. And just for the people that are viewing and listening, just let them know a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Deborah Camp, and I'm a Queens, New York-based artist, author, and art educator. And this is my lifelong passion that I have been following since I was 3 years old. And it all stems from my mother's side of the family that passed the art baton to me and the love of writing. And I grew up in this environment. And from then on, they planted that seed, that passion of creativity. And I want to spread joy with my art. And that's what I do now for a living. And I just put it all together as a book I self-published called Musings Diner, open 24/7. So my book is art and poetry, 20 years in the making. It's a whole collection of all my art and writings from 20 years all the way up to the present day. And I wanted to inspire others with my work. It's about overcoming bullying. It's about being strong, going for your dreams no matter what gets in your way. Just kick it out of the way. You can do it, but you have to work hard for it and you have to believe in yourself.
I love that. And I will have the links so that they can find you and find your book and everything. That way it'll be easy. It'll be in the description no matter where you guys are watching or listening. So I wanted to jump in and go into, because a lot of your inspiration starts, unfortunately, from being a child and being bullied as a kid. So let's kind of go through that. What was that like? Because more people don't realize more kids go through it than not, and it is something that is very serious. I do think teachers don't take it as serious as they should, and a lot of parents and teachers just kind of say, oh, those are kids being kids, which I don't like that part. But let's go through that a little bit. What was that like?
That was pure hell from age 5 all the way up to 18. So basically, my entire school life, I felt like the outcast, like the weirdo, and I never quite fit in. I wanted to make friends, I wanted to play, but I would get ostracized from other kids saying, ew, you have the cooties, stay away from me. I don't want to play with you. Nobody wants to be your friend. You're a weirdo. Like people would just pick on me. And I think I could see why, looking back now from as an adult point of view. I think it's because I was the teacher's pet. I got good grades in school. I didn't like the same music they like. I didn't wear the cool clothes. I wore the same clothes over and over because my mom was a struggling single mom and
Right.
she was trying to do the best for me. And the kids knew that. The kids knew I was the only child, only with the mom, and they had the whole family, the mom, the dad, the brothers, the sisters. So they would just zero in on me like a target. And they would just project all of their insecurities onto me. I know that now as an adult, but back then
Right.
I really believed it. They called me ugly. I went years and years believing that, like, oh, I must be a monster. That's why nobody loves me. Nobody wants to be my friend. Nobody
Mm,
wants to date me. And I had this huge insecurity. I would eat by myself all the time in the lunchroom, and I would cry all the time. I would cry under the desk. I have this huge memory when I was in second grade, under my teacher's desk when she wasn't there. There was a substitute there. And I would just cry, and everybody just pointing at me and calling me a loser over and over and over. And the thing is, it doesn't end after you get out of school. Like,
right.
these would just keep playing in my head, even at the end of the day. Like, you would ruminate and ruminate and ruminate. I'm not sure if you've ever went through something like that or know of people that went through that, but it is pure hell.
It is. I don't think that people realize that, words do hurt, because that was the biggest thing we heard when we were little, like, sticks and stones break your bones, but words don't hurt you. But words do hurt. Those names being called. I also come from a family, even though mom and dad were, they were very poor. We were way poorer than everyone else. So we literally were the ones same thing with the same clothes, didn't get new clothes for school and things like that. So it is very hard to be a child of someone who is in poverty, and you don't understand the whys to it. You don't understand what's going on, and you try to make the best to go to school, but kids are not nice. And I'm not going to say kids aren't nice, because I do feel like it comes from the parents, of what they see, what they hear a lot of times. Then siblings are another thing, because sometimes it's not even the parents. The parents could be nice and respectful, but then they have maybe uncles or aunts or someone who's influencing the behavior. And if we looked at it more seriously, I think it could be something that we could fix, where kids would be like, oh, wow, this is something serious, not, oh, that's not serious, they're just being kids. Because no, I've been on both sides. Unfortunately, I've acted out in ways because of my own whatever I was going on. So when you say, a child projecting on you, I've been that child, right? I've also been the child someone's projected on me. So I've been on both sides of the table. Neither one of them feel good. Neither one of them feel good. So sucks to be there, but I'm hoping that when we have these conversations, that parents can listen to this and sit down with their children and have those discussions and open it up to say, like, what's going on. There's so many kids that suffer in silence too. They don't even go home and say anything,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Like, at first I would complain about it a lot to my mom, like, oh, they're teasing me again, they're picking
Right,
on me. But then I saw nothing got resolved, and my teachers wouldn't stand up for me. And it's just like, why do I even bother to say anything? I used to think that when I was 10, 11 years old, like, I'm just going to quiet. I'll just quiet and
right,
shut up. So then I decided the only way I could really escape is through my art and my writing. Like, that was the
mhm,
only way I can cope with this, because it was a lot, and they would get even more vicious as time went on. When they got older and older into high school, they told me I should have been aborted, I should have never been born, I should just
right,
off myself. They said some really terrible things to me, things that should never come out of anybody's mouth. Like, how
right,
dare you treat another human being like this, with no sensitivity, no empathy, no respect. And you're right, a
right,
lot of times it does come from watching the parents, and they're parroting what they're learning in their own toxic environment. And it's a
right.
shame. Somebody has to break that, and break that toxic cycle, like you said, and have
That's
this in the schools. That empathy is needed. People have to understand from the other person's point of view how hurtful this is. They think it's
right,
just words, but it's more than that. It is something that gets stuck in here. And then if you're not, looking out, it might sink in to the core of the person that you're bullying. And that person will just carry that weight their whole life. And
right.
that's not fair to the person.
I mean, and we've seen everyone can sit and say of how many stories have you heard of children unaliving themselves, and young, not even like just teenagers, kids as young as 8, because of the bullying, because of it is traumatic, it is rough, it is harsh. And that's why I don't agree with parents and teachers who just say, oh, that's kids being kids, and just kind of push it under the table. I don't think that, because even there was a story recently where a child was going around with a hit list, and these are kids in like elementary school, had a hit list on the children that they were going to take out. And then the other girls that knew that they were on the hit list kept going to the counselor, the teacher, everyone saying, hey, we're scared. Oh no, it's nothing, nothing's going to happen. What happens at lunch? That kid actually hit the other child on the head with something, and I don't even know if the child made it, but
Oh,
blood was gushing out of their head. They had to be rushed to the hospital. So this is where I'm like, this is where we as the parents and adults have to get involved, because now the kids are different from when we used to deal with things a lot different. So yeah, we used to suck it up and just deal with it. But a lot of kids don't. A lot of kids act out. And I think it's even worse today, where the physical violence of it is probably even worse today. So
I
yeah.
agree with that. And then you have the whole social media aspect that didn't even
Oh,
exist, or it was really in its infancy. By the time I was in high school, yeah, they had blogs and they had AIM, Instant Messenger, but they didn't have anything like Facebook or
no,
things like that, Instagram, TikTok, and all
right.
those things that where they put a rumor and it spreads like wildfire about somebody else.
Exactly.
Instead of
Exactly.
just word of mouth, now it's billions of people seeing it being streamed, and
Right.
it's going to destroy, a kid's self-esteem even faster. And this has to stop. That's what I want my art to do. I want my art and my writing to be part of that movement against that, to
Right.
teach people that this is wrong, to put others down, and to see why
Right.
is it wrong. It's not just to say to somebody, you can't bully somebody because it's wrong. You have to
Right.
explain why it's wrong. That way they can
Right.
see it from the other point of view.
Right. I like what you said about that having empathy. And I've said this a lot of that somewhere along the line, we've forgotten to have that love for humanity, a love for each other in a way where when you look at someone, you would be like, oh my God, I'm hurting this person and I don't want to hurt this person. And it seems like somewhere we're losing that as people, where society is more individual, like this is us and that is you. So we don't care what happens to you over there.
Right. I see it. It's a lot of people, they see things and they get hardened to it. Like they're so
Right.
used to seeing this problem like of homelessness on the street. They see the person as not a person. They see it as a thing, right? It's like an it now. It's not even a person anymore. They're
Right.
stripping the humanity away from people. And all of these people were babies once. They were born into families at one point, and they don't see that. They only see what they want to see, but they
Right.
don't see what was.
True. It's rough. There's a lot of stigmas behind all of that. So, yeah, it's rough. It's not easy either, because I know, taking all that in as a kid, it does stick with you. It does hit you in a certain way, and it does kind of intensify. You already have a lot of insecurities as kids anyway. And then when you go into the teen years, you have 20 million things going on emotionally. Far as your hormones go, everything's out of whack. You have no idea what's going on. Then put on top of that the insecurities of what people are telling you, right?
Exactly. It was like this whole whirlwind. I felt like I was almost lost in this tsunami wave, like just, like coming at me. And I was trying to deal with it the best way I can. And I knew, because since I was 3, I was always drawing. And since I was a teenager, I was always writing. So I would write in my journal all the time how I felt at the end of the day. And I would draw the bullies like monsters, literally with claws and 100 eyes, just like coming at me. And, this was
Mm,
my way of, I guess you could say, picturing it in an alternate universe where I have the power now. I'm the
right,
superhero in my own story. I'm not the victim anymore. I refuse to be that person. I don't want them to have all the power and to put me
right,
down and succeed in keeping me down, because I won't let that happen. I was always this very stubborn person, but I use that to my advantage because I'm
right,
stubborn. My mom always said, you have a stubborn streak, Debbie. Well, there's a reason for that. If I wasn't stubborn, if I was a pushover and just let everybody just walk all over me, I would never have tried to make it as a freelance artist. I would have never put my book out. I would have just stayed stuck in a job I would despise, and then I would resent it and regret it later. I don't want to be that person. I refuse to be that person.
right. Now, I want to ask you, because I know how it is, like being raised in poverty. You grow up with a scarcity belief that's there. How did you work through that to say, you know what, even though this is probably in the back end of what am I going to do with money? How am I going to pay for this? How am I going to do that? To say, I'm still going to push to do my art, to write my book, because we all know starting off in these things, you're not getting paid huge tons of money and being, anyone's coming across you. So
Exactly.
you're really
And that's what
taking the
my aunt
love and
said.
passion to do it, right?
Exactly. I worked at everything that my aunt said. I wanted to say this story real quick. My mom believed in me. She supported the dreams of my art, because she wanted to be an artist too at one point. Unfortunately, my aunt took that dream away from her when she was a teenager because my mom was very talented. She was good at drawing and writing stories, but my aunt told her, "Give that up. You'll never make it. Just take a regular job. Just throw it away." So my mom listened and got stuck in a mailroom job that she resented and hated. Now with me, she tried to pull the same thing on me. And I said, "No, I'm not going to listen. I'm going to keep trying anyway." She's like, "Oh, just be a teacher. That's where all the money is at. You'll never make it. You'll live in a cardboard box." She used to always say that to me. And then she just cut me out of her life, me and my mom, about 10 years ago. We haven't spoken since. She's very
Wow.
resentful, very bitter. She's 97 years old now. So she's up there in age and she has this streak in her and she won't see from our side of the story that how art is this passion and you only get to live one time. And I'm almost 40 years old now and I'm still going for that dream. And I have
Right.
made some progress. I have gotten in some newspapers for my work. I have painted over 300 murals to date. And it all started because, I sacrifice a lot of time. I don't hang out in the clubs and stuff like that or keep a million friends. My focus is just on my art. Like that's my number one all the time. To make it out there, to be getting over my introvertedness because I'm quite shy. I know you can't see it now, but when I was a kid, I was very quiet, very shy. But
Yeah.
I said to myself, my love of art is stronger than my fear of getting out there, to
Mm.
socialize and to connect with people. So I got over that, for the sake of my art. So you have to make some sacrifices, and I was willing to do them. And that's how I got over that poverty mindset that, oh, I'll never make it as an artist. I never thought that. I'm like, no, there is no plan B. This is plan A, B, C,
Right.
D, all the way through Z. And I'm going to do it no matter what. I don't care how much sleep I have to sacrifice, how many doors I have to knock on. I actually have a poem called The Persistent Knocker specifically about this. So,
I love it. I love
it talks
it.
about that, about knocking on a million doors until the right one opens. So that's my
Right.
mindset now.
I love that. It is. I believe it. I believe you have to be your first cheerleader. You have to be the one to believe that you can do the impossible when everyone else says, oh, you can't do that. You have to believe that I can do it. I got this, and not that fear doesn't come up because I think fear is always there, but it's how you handle it. Do you allow it to kind of stunt what you're going to do, or do you allow it to fuel you and use it as that fuel to keep going, right?
Exactly. That's what I do. I use it for, to gain energy. That way I can go for my dreams. Because if I go the other way around and say, oh, I'm never going to get here, I'm never going to get there, I'll be I could have, I should have, I would have, I didn't.
Right.
I don't want to be that person because I see too many people that have a lot of talent and then they're so afraid to take the gamble, to take the chance. So they just sit in
Right.
a 9 to 5. They waste their life, because that's not what they wanted to do. And then they wake up
Right.
65 years old and say, what happened to my life? Where did it go? Because they don't
Right.
realize like the time just went by. They were on autopilot. They didn't want to take the chance. I think sometimes in life you have to take that chance. You have to because like I said, you get this one chance. You don't want to blow the opportunity. You do it while you're young, while you have your health. And I always say your health is your wealth. And not just your physical health, it's also the mental health as well. Because if you
True.
don't have either one of those in line, then you're not going to reach your fullest potential.
Right. Now, I don't want anyone who's older to think that you still can't do it because there's tons of people who made it when they were older. They,
Oh,
I
that's
think like,
very true. No, you're
yeah,
right about that. My
there's
great
a lot of people.
grandfather, he started at 70 years old to paint. He died at 104.
Yeah, look at
So
that. You
So,
definitely
it's
can't.
never too late. It's never
No.
too late. And that's actually the rock of my family's art foundation, my great grandfather. I watched
Yeah.
him until I was 8 years old. He was born 1889. He died in 93. He
Oh,
was an
wow.
artist, but he didn't start till 70. That's when he started
Right.
painting. He always had it in him, but started pursuing it in his 70s. So you're right, it is never too late. But I always say, if you have a dream in you, go for it as soon as you can.
Oh,
Don't let any time slip by.
Definitely. I feel like, and I think that's what it is normally people are chasing the dreams and goals of their parents or their friends or society, and they're going down that. And I've been there too. I was there too. A couple years ago, I ended up leaving the workforce and chasing what my spirit was calling me to do. So that, it changed, but I was doing the same thing, just being whoever I thought I needed to be to pay the bills, to as a single mom, to pay the bills and take care of my kid. And
Right.
then you get to a point where you're just like, what are we doing? If we're not doing things that we actually love, you will burn out. You will hate it. You will start going to work like, oh my God, why do I have to be here? I can't stand these people, and it becomes like a chore versus I love to do this. I'm waking up and I'm vibrant because
Exactly.
I love what I do. And then when I started coming down a spiritual path, because I do the podcast, but I'm very into spirituality. I do a lot of things with that. When I started going into that, I was living off probably like 3 hours of sleep a day, and I was fine. 3 hours of sleep
Oh,
a day
I know how that feels. I know.
because you love it. You love what you're doing. You're into it. You're passionate about it, and you have all that energy because we have like that eternal energy. If we just turn on, crank up the passion, that the things that we're gifted at, and I think those are the things that we're supposed to tap into, and that's what brings the beauty into life. If we can do it, if we can tap into those things, and it looks like you have with art, because art's not for everyone, but when you have your skills or you have that passion for it to sit and do it, I think that's what brings out that just beauty.
Thank you, Ariana. I definitely agree with that. And it's not even just about making the art, it's making an impact with it to the public.
Right.
Because I do a lot of murals that are in the public, on the
Right.
windows, on the walls. And it just brings me so much joy as I'm painting to see people pass by and they're looking at the progress. They can't wait to
Right.
come back. And then they share so many stories with me about when they were younger, they used to do art and maybe they'll do it again. They see an inspiration in front of them. They
Wow.
see somebody doing it because a lot of
Yeah.
them don't have that as an example. Too many people put this in the minds of children that art, you can't make it in the art. That's not true. Art is everywhere. It's on your
Right.
shirt. It's design everywhere. Without art, the world would be very boring. It would be very plain, very simple. So there is always opportunity out there. But a lot of people don't want to open this eye here. They only look with these eyes, but they don't look with the third eye that there
Right.
really
Right.
is opportunity, but you have to go for it. You can't be afraid of what could be if you don't even try. You have to try.
Right. Well, it's definitely that misconception of what art and entertainment, because I think a lot of people think making it is becoming a superstar in any, in any type of art form, when really I think you making it is having any piece of your work out there. Once you publish it, you've made it. Once you put it out there, once you created that painting, you've made it. Once you got onto the mural, that's like you've made it. There's no more, well, I'm waiting to make it. You've made it. And I think there's this misconception of what that looks like, right? What that's supposed to be. And it's like, no, most artists, people didn't even know them until they died. They were painting and doing their thing for years. And then, they pass on and people are like, oh, now let's appreciate their work.
Right. Well, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to break that social stigma
Right.
that,
Right.
artists don't. I even had somebody make a sick joke to me when I was painting. See, not everybody's nice to you when you're painting outside. Most people are, but some people will make snide remarks like, oh, what's your real job, honey? Are you volunteering for your high school? Oh, that's so sweet.
Wow.
And then somebody else told me, like, oh, nobody's going to find your art until like Van Gogh, right? Like after you die, then they'll, then your work will be worth something. Right now, it's probably worthless, right, honey, baby? Like, I can't
Right.
stand when people talk down to me like that. It's very
Right.
irritating, and it's mostly men, older men, I notice that talk to me like that. Like I would get those snide remarks from guys like that when I'm working outside. They don't see all the hard work and labor. I'm out there sometimes 8, 10 hours on my feet, climbing up
Right.
and down a ladder. It's physical labor, but it's also a
Right.
labor of love. But people don't see that aspect. They think it takes 2 seconds just to whip up something, right? It's not
Oh
true. There's a lot.
no.
There is a lot of physical labor, just like a construction worker. Every opportunity out there, every job needs to be respected. It's not that we
Right.
respect some more than others. I'm sick
Right.
of hearing this doctor, lawyer, they should have the most praise.
Right.
Everybody who works hard and has a passion deserves praise. If you put
Right.
your mind to it and you're making a difference, you're doing something with your life. You're
Right.
doing something worthwhile. Never feel like you're lesser than just because you're not this or you're not that. You
Right.
do the best you can. That's what I want your viewers to learn from this.
Definitely. I concur on all of that. I absolutely love murals. I'm one of the person who's always, wherever I go, if I see a mural, I'm taking pictures of it because I think it's beautiful. I appreciate that type of art. I'm not someone that's in like the, going to shows and stuff and seeing art like that, but I love when you see things like that because it really, I mean, for me, maybe it's just me, but you can sit and how much time this person put into that. It's not something real fast. And I don't think any artwork, because I don't think people realize that artists are very critical of their work. And we're
That's
probably
that's
more
very
critical than
true.
everyone else.
Guilty. Yep, guilty as charged. Very true. Because a lot of people will say, "Oh, it looks beautiful. It's done." I'm like, "No, it's half done. Come back in 3 hours, and you'll see it finished." They're like, "Are you sure?" I said,
Right,
"It's not
right,
done yet." I said, "Come back, and you'll see a difference." And then, the same people will walk by 3 hours later when I'm still painting outside, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're right. I see more details." And they don't realize like how much I want to develop it until the
right.
point where I feel like it's up to the expectations I want from my clients, because I don't want to give my clients anything lesser than. I want to
Mhm.
give them my best, because that's the way I would want to be treated by, people working for me, and vice versa. So, I'm not going to take cheats or cut corners, because I don't want somebody to do that for me.
Right, right. Yeah. But I think there's a lot of people, and you know what? I think, the biggest thing about this also is that remembering that there will always be some naysayers out there. There's always going to be some people that come with the negativity who don't see it, they don't appreciate it, and they have their own baggage that they're carrying. And when people do say their negative crap, it really is only they're projecting their own insecurities, their own fears, their own things that because they didn't do probably. And I had to learn this at one point too, because I'm someone who's been judged my whole life by different people, and I never could understand it. It's just like, why are people judging me for no reason? But one of the things I kind of understood now, especially in this path, was that point is that people are looking at you and they're going, who are you to do this? Who are you to make it? Who said, why are you special? And I'm not, they're projecting their inner stuff versus just sitting with that and saying, you know what? It's not over for me. Maybe I should just take the inspiration and not let it draw me to this negative side. But they're always going to be there. So you can let that break you or use it for that fuel. And I love that regardless to how it's hurt you, and I'm sure every one of those things have hurt, every one of those words have hurt, but you've still used it in a positive way to push forward. And you're still standing here and you're still doing your art and you're still trucking along. And you're also not just doing your art, but you have a positive message. And I absolutely think that that is beautiful in this life because we need that. We need more people that are willing to say, this might have been my life, but I still choose to be a loving person. I still choose to not treat people in the way that they treated me, because it's easy to just, match energy and become a piece of shit, right? It's very easy to do that.
Exactly. Right. You don't want to end up being a low vibrational person that just feeds off of negativity and projects it out even further, because we have too much of that narcissism type of point of view in this world. I've had
Right?
ex friends that were narcissists. In fact, the 1 year anniversary of me cutting a narcissist out of my life, a friendship, is coming up August 3rd. I remember
Wow.
the exact day because I gathered the courage 2 years into the friendship to say enough is enough. I saw all the red
Okay.
flags. At first, I didn't see them, but I saw them gradually as she dropped her mask. And that's what they do, they mask. A lot of narcissists, they try to reflect what you are, they try to mimic you and parrot you. That way, you feel like you have a lot in common. And
Yeah.
then you find out when the mask drops, when you feel comfortable with them, they start bossing you around, telling you what to do, guilt tripping you, calling you 24/7. I mean, it was a little too much for me and I couldn't take it anymore. So I just went gray rock. It's a psychology technique, which is to be as boring as a gray rock to a person. Gray rock is boring because it does nothing. So that's how
Right.
I cut this person out of my life. And I felt such a weight literally like lifted off of my shoulders because she was
Right.
stressing me out, always texting me every 5 seconds. If I wouldn't answer, she would get mad at me. It was just this weird obsessive type of behavior that I was not comfortable with. And
Right.
now I can spot them from a mile away. If I sense that, I don't even let it get to stage 1. It's like a tumorous cancer. I shut it down at stage 0 now. That one I let go to like stage 4. I would say,
Yeah.
in a metaphor sort of way. So I don't know if you've
Right.
dealt with that type of personality. It's a very
Oh,
hard personality to deal with.
my mom is a narcissist. My
I'm
mom was
sorry
the
to hear that.
yeah, life is life. I've come to terms with it all. My mom, unfortunately, was the first person who used words to attack me and used words to break me down. And unfortunately, then that's just things you work through. And some people never change. There's been times where I've cut my mom out of my life completely, and I do believe that you need to, because when someone is that negative, when they don't see their wrongs, when they can't just truly apologize for what they've done and they continue to repeat the negative or abuse or whatever it is that they're doing, you have to make those decisions and say, you know what? No, this is not okay. And a lot of that comes from the stigmas of, well, this is my friend, or this is my mom, or this is my family, and I can't turn my back on them. But the more you deal with that, it's just like, why am I continuing to be in this relationship where it's definitely one-sided? I have had one-sided friendships. I don't know if they were true narcissists, but they definitely were selfish people. And I even had a friend after 20 years that I cut our friendship, and we've never been friends again because of just the disrespect and that kind of attitude, to where it's just like, I don't want to be involved with anyone who wants to get physical or fight over petty stuff or all of those things. It's like, I want my life to be peaceful. I've gone through too much as a kid and too much as a teenager into my young adult years. I'm like, hell no, I'm not doing the next part of. And this was probably when I was getting into my 30s, where I was just like, enough is enough. I need to have better boundaries. I need to start saying no, because I don't want the rest of my life to be chaotic. And I'm allowing these people to come into my life, because we are the common denominator when we keep allowing them back in, right? So it was one of those things. I definitely had to see it for who they were. And a lot of times people show us who they are, but we make excuses. We want to make it
Of them were like, oh, she had a hard day. Maybe that's why
right.
she snapped, or she's, you know, in a nasty mood because, she grew up being bullied. Still, no excuses. If the person, like you said, keeps repeating the
Yeah,
toxic behavior, even after you point out how it makes you feel,
right,
and how you think it's hurting them also in a way, because this
right.
person that was my friend was stuck in a job she couldn't stand. But instead of
Mm,
doing about something about it, she would shut down all my suggestions that I gave her, and she would get
right,
mad at me. And then she had relationship issues. I tried to help her with that. The thing is, I can't be somebody's personal psychologist. She
right,
made me feel obligated to try to solve all her issues, and then she wouldn't, even take some advice and try something different. She would just snap at me. And
right,
if I suggested professional health, she would really blow her top at me. So,
right.
somebody like that, you can't fix somebody like that. They have to want to fix themselves.
Yeah. And you definitely have to say, you know what, you need professional help, you know. And I was like that too. I used to be the ear for everyone, and everyone will call me with all their problems, and no one wants to ever listen, or they don't ever want a solution. They just want to complain. So you're just
Exactly.
like, no, no more. So I'm not the person that people call with their problems. They don't call me. I'm like, call me when you want a solution. If you want a solution, I got you. And we'll work on something to really change. But if you just want to call to bitch and moan, get a therapist. I'm like, get a therapist and go sit with them. Not doing it.
Exactly. She was expecting me to wear all the hats, and she felt like scared to be alone. Like she has some deep-seated issues, and I wanted to help her with it. I felt very sorry for her at first. That's why,
Yeah.
I was there for her as much as I could be, but then it was affecting my emotional and mental health. It was making
Right.
me get a lot of anxiety, and then it turned into physical problems I had with my body. Because, your
Yep.
body actually psychosomatically absorbs all the stress, whether you
Yep.
realize it or not. And I can feel like more stomach issues and things like that, and then the second I cut her out of my life, all that resolved itself.
Yeah. It's funny, and I love that where I'm at now, I've gone through just getting back and tuned into my body this last couple years. So I think it's been like a 5-year journey since I've been in doing my spiritual path. And that whole getting back into your body and just listening to your body and what's going on and how people make you feel. Like when you're in someone's company, what's going on with your body? Where are you feeling it? Are you getting tense? Are you feeling pain
Exactly.
somewhere? Are you feeling nauseous? Do you have a headache? Like what's going on in this person's energy, right? And then what's going on when you leave?
Exactly. Yep, that's the gut. The gut is actually the second brain. They always
Mm,
say that. Like all your health really starts there.
yeah,
Because in primitive times, your gut would tell you if a food was poisonous or not and would make you
yeah,
nauseous. So you would, regurgitate it if it was bad for you. So if you're getting that same like sick feeling in your gut about somebody, when you're
mm,
spending time with them, that's your gut saying this person is not a good fit, for you emotionally. And you need to listen to your gut. That's why they say, I have a gut feeling. It's not
right.
just a saying, it's true. It really is.
Right. Definitely comes from somewhere. So I believe I wholeheartedly believe to cut people off if they're not willing to work on their issues, if they're not willing to grow, because you're not responsible of them, and letting go, you open up room for people who maybe match your energy better than what they're willing to be. And I know that's hard for some people to let go and detach, but it's definitely better if you want your peace in your life.
Exactly, and I hope that she's found peace. I hope,
Yeah.
I hope for her that maybe she realized that this keeps happening to her over and over. She would complain to me about all the friends she's lost over the years. Now I see why. But, I hope
Right.
she sees it for herself. Well, maybe I was too much, too coming on too strong of a friendship, like pushing all my problems on everybody. I hope she feels
Right.
this in her and seeks help. That way, she can change for the better so she could have peace in her life.
Definitely. I believe in releasing with love. Like, I don't believe anything should be out of like anger or hate or all of those things because it's like that doesn't do anything anyway. I'm really conscious about what you give, you get, and that's thoughts, and that's your what you say, all of those things. What you're putting out into the universe, it's going to come back to you. So I feel like even with that, if you understand that, I can't help this person, me and this person are no longer in alignment, I'm gonna send you off and wish you well. But I can't be the I can't be there, but not in a hateful, mean way. It's just with love.
Exactly. Right. You want the person, to find that inner healing, that inner peace
Right,
eventually, because if they don't find it, they're not going to just destroy their own life. They're going to keep destroying others' lives. And that's not a good habit or pattern to keep forming. They need to see it
right,
now.
right. Some people though need to lose, and then so they can actually sit and be like, maybe I am the problem. At this point, maybe I am the problem because I think sometimes someone can be the victim, victim, victim and never see that they're actually the problem. I actually know people like that. It's just like, well, no, you're it. You're you're the reason you're here. But
Right.
hopefully still wish them love and hopefully they get some help. But I wouldn't tell anyone to deal with anyone who has issues or narcissistic or any of those things because you can't save them. Anyone close to you, you can't save them. Can't be their therapist, you can't be their psychologist. You can't do that. You can't save them. You'll break yourself trying. And
Exactly.
I believe in tough love. One of the things that when I was reading what you sent me, one of the things I love that I read was, being a champion for mental health through art. And I love that statement right there. What made you say it in that way? Because that's not just, well, I'm here for mental health and art. Just like, I'm going to be a champion for this, to put these two together. And, it's like a crusade. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I believe a lot in mental health being recognized as something that needs to be nurtured, that needs to be valued, respected, and cherished. And I figured, what better way than to give it a visual form and a written form? So that way it's not just something scientifically written on the screen like a diagnosis, but pieces, visual and written pieces celebrating, the importance of it. And that's what I want to do in my work, is for
Right.
people to feel like they're seen, they're heard, they're respected, and that they're
Mm,
not alone. They're not alone in this struggle. Like I struggled a lot with my mental health as a kid, as a teenager, even as an adult, because of all the bullying and all the horrible self-esteem issues, and also being
right.
raised in a single parent household. I had all of these insecurities, but I didn't want it to keep me down. And I want my work to advocate for mental health to be put up there on a pedestal. It needs to be recognized. It's just as important, like I said earlier, as physical health. Because a lot of people, they might not see, a mental health issue. They see if you broke a leg, you know, or you have cancer, they can see that, visually. But if you're dealing with like an inner demon, like a depression, you
Hmm.
might not look like anything physical is going on, but up here there's a war, but people don't see it. So
Right.
my art gives it a vision, like a picture, and the words paint a picture of it. And it's not just to talk about the disease itself, it's about how to overcome this, how to battle this, giving you tools on how to advocate for this, so others don't lost in this and too scared to take a chance on their dream. Because a lot of people struggling with mental health, that is something that holds a lot of people back, unfortunately, because, they don't have the confidence, because there's something holding them there, like some kind of issue from the past that's kind of harboring in the background, sort of like a program in the background of your computer. It's like still running, even though you don't see it, it's still there. So the whole point of doing the art, doing the writing, is to show you do have the power to override that, but you have to work on yourself. You have to take a little time every day to work on it. Not big steps, it could be baby steps. It could be
Right.
talking to a mental health counselor, talking to your mom, reconnecting with somebody, anything, writing it out, drawing it out, going to classes with people who are struggling with something similar. Just
Right.
trying to find different tools and different outlets. So that's what my art, is championing for. I want my art to show that mental health needs to be out there, recognized, and to stop, the worst part of mental health, which is the suicide part. That it's a very heavy thing. It happens all the time. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate that we have that still going on in the world. But I feel like people, if they find something, that gives them somewhat of a joy or somewhat of a release, they see more reasons to still be here, or to lead them to that. And I want my work to do that for them. I want to help people with that, because I understand about, people falling into that dark hole. I know how it feels. It's horrible. So I want my work to help people to get out of that dark hole.
Definitely. I completely understand what you mean, and I love it because I'm someone who's been there, the depression throughout my life, and just suicidal and all of those things. But that what you said about people not realizing, because it doesn't have a look. You don't have a look when you're dealing with this. You can have good moments and you can have bad moments. And I was someone who never showed anyone. You would never know what I was going through. So I had that mask on of I'm dying inside, but my face is telling you that I'm thriving, and I was never going to let anybody see that part. Even like my kid, I wouldn't cry in front of my child. I had this thing about not crying, and I'm not going to show her that weakness or show her that anything's wrong, because I don't want her to feel like our life is falling apart. I want her to have a good childhood. Didn't realize how damaging that was for me. but so there are a lot of people who
Right.
have that mask on, that are trucking along, but they're dying inside. And all it really takes is stopping to ask someone, like, how are you? what's going on, or not even that you think anything's going, just taking that moment to kind of connect with someone, because you really don't know what someone's going through.
Exactly. Yeah, they want to be seen and heard. Really, that's all they want to feel is some kind of validation because a
Right.
lot of times they'll feel invisible. They'll feel like
Yeah.
nobody cares, like nobody thinks about them, like why should I be here? Thoughts like that would go in their mind. And if you just take the time out of your day to, like you said, to acknowledge something about them, like, you did a great job today in school. I love your art. I love the poem you wrote. You did a great job, or, you know, today was such a gorgeous day. I see you went for a walk in the park. How did that make you feel? Like, just like to have a conversation, a dialogue with them, that
Yeah.
makes them feel alive again because they feel, like you said, dead inside. They're walking around dead inside. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely one of those topics. But I love to bring it up because, again, I think that the awareness of it is key. And I do think it's a serious thing. And I do wish that more, especially adults, take the children bullying seriously, the name calling seriously, that talking to each other in those ways, the aggression towards each other. And I do wish that we would teach that more of that love for each other as humans, as people, instead of it being like, oh well, we see all this crap on TV, like, oh well, it's just a life, it's just another
instead of
life.
becoming numb, right? They're numb.
Right.
It's
It's
a
like, no,
shame,
everyone,
they're becoming numb to reality.
it's crazy. It's like everyone has their own special light. And I believe that. And it doesn't have to be something crazy and big. You don't have to do these crazy grand gestures to be of service or to, change the world. It's the little things that create ripples in this life. And I believe if we all just figure out what is that passion and purpose that calls to us, we can then be in that space, and our light is here. We're here for a reason. We just have to figure out what is that. What is that light? What's my passion? It's going to go hand in hand on some level, and then you're going to be able to make some changes in the world. And again, to someone it might seem, oh, this is small, but on the other hand, just like you're doing a mural, and how many people are like stopping and staring, how many people don't even stop and talk to you but are admiring it from far, and the amount of people who are driving past, and, for years to come, however long it's there, they will stop and they will, I believe in energy. So even with you not being there, anytime someone stops and looks, they're going to feel that energy that you were using to create that. And that's a beautiful thing to step into, right?
Oh, most definitely, Ariana. I always put, what I'm feeling into the mural at the moment. Like I'll channel, like my community unity mural I just painted in Long Island City. It's about
Mm.
flowers growing as people, all coming together as one in this community garden. And that is the vision I see for the world. And I was so happy that I won that contest to have my mural up there. My work was chosen amongst other Queens artists, and we're building a mural one by one all together in these 3x8 boards of what
Yeah.
community unity means to us as artists. And you see everybody's individual concept all put together as one along a fence.
Oh,
So that
wow.
was a lot of happiness brought to me from this mural. It's one of my proudest moments and happiest highlights of my life so far. It just happened in May.
Oh,
So
wow. Definitely. Ooh, I bet you could feel it. I mean, I could feel it. So I know that whoever's looking at it or buy it or gets they're gonna feel it. They're gonna, and that right there, like I said, it's a game changer, because you feel that beautiful love and that positive energy. It's gonna change, your attitude or whatever you got going on in that moment. So I think that's beautiful. Anything, I know we got to wrap it up. I again thank you so much for coming on here and just talking about it. I will have the links to her book, you guys, and whatever social media she wants you guys to go follow her on. Is there a specific place that they can go check out
oh
your
yeah,
work?
yes, they can see my work that I update daily on my Instagram page. My handle is Art by Deb Camp. So it's ARTBYDEBCAMP. Art by Deb Camp. I always update it daily. And if you're on Facebook, my business page is Art by Deborah Camp. So ARTBY DeborahCamp. So you can follow me on those as well.
Okay, and I will get the links, you guys. They'll be in there. It'll be easy for you to go find her. So just look in the description of where you're listening or watching, and anything just last inspirational that you want to tell the viewers or listeners.
Yes, I would like to tell everybody who's watching or listening to never give up on your dreams. Even if they seem vast and too far to reach, if you work for it step by step, you put in the effort, you have the passion for it, the drive for it, the ambition for it. It only takes just you to believe in yourself. It's great to have a support system of friends and family. That's a plus. But none of that matters if you don't believe in yourself. So you have to believe first in your abilities to get there. And like Ariana was saying, it's never too late to start. I found my dream when I was 3, but you can be 43, you could be 83. It doesn't matter what age that you realize you have this dream, you have a potential, you have a light inside of you, and you need to let it out because it's going to help so many others out there to heal and to reach for their dream. So please go for it. Don't be afraid. Take whatever time you need to get there, but you will get there if you believe.
Definitely. Awesome, you guys. All right. Thank you again, Deborah, for coming on. And just, maybe we'll do another one sometime. But all right, you guys, until next time, bye.